Welcome everyone to the Colour Cave and to another Colour and Chat. As you can see, it is a truly miserable day here at the cave, and it's the perfect day to do some colouring. So I am ready with my pint mug of tea, and I literally have a mug of tea, as you can see. So I'm going to ignore what's going on outside and we are going to do some colouring, so let's get going. I am currently working on a piece in one of Bennett Klein's books, and it's just not jiving well at all. So I decided that I would have a change of tack, leave it alone. That was my original plan, was to colour in Bennett Klein today for our colouring chat. But as you can see in front of me, I have Intricate Ink by Tim Jeffs. This is the first volume. There are subsequent volumes. And I thought we could maybe try and get through one of these. They are quite quick pictures to colour, which is quite nice as well. And I thought you guys might like to just see what I'm doing while I ramble on as per usual. So I've picked out this little guy. He's super cute, and I did a bit of googling and picked out some reference pictures just to get an idea of a colour scheme. Now there's nothing to say that we have to colour him in the, you know, the sort of realistic colours, but just to get a feel for the different types of colour schemes. And the two main colour schemes that I saw in the more colourful seahorses were sort of fiery reds, orangey yellow type colour palettes, and also a really nice kind of blue and green. So that's what I'm going to go for today. I'm going to be using some artistic license, but that is half the fun. So let's see if we can get this little guy looking super cute and super colourful. I'm using my Polychromos pencils today if anybody is interested. I have just picked out a selection of blues and greens, which I'll show you here. So I've got a handful of kind of more yellow type greens, you know, they're closer to yellows than they are to, say, blues, for example. And I've also picked out a set of blue pencils ranging from light to dark, so there's quite a selection there, and I also have a white pencil as well. So let's see how this goes. So I'm really glad that I have changed the colouring and art video days to a Sunday, because a Sunday is actually one of my favourite days to just sit back and chill, and it's usually when I have the most time. So I'm not overwhelmed with work or anything horrendous like that. You know, if I'm going to have some time to myself, that's when it's going to be. So that's pretty good. And although I'm not filming this on a Sunday, it feels suspiciously like a Sunday, and I think it's just because of the weather. It is absolutely disgusting outside, and there's not a lot of movement anywhere, just because obviously it's kind of difficult to get outside jobs done when it's like this. It's not actually, well, it is snowing, but it's more like a sort of sleety snow. It is proper horrible. It's not nice at all. So everybody's tucked up and cosy inside, apart from poor Mr. Jem, who is out working in it. He is head to toe in like an all-in-one bodysuit, that, you know, like the snowsuits that you put on kids. It's kind of like one of them. We call it his rave suit. So he's dressed in that head to toe, and it always reminds me of Maggie from The Simpsons when they put her in her snowsuit and she goes kind of star-shaped. That's kind of what Mr. Jem looks like today, except a big hairy overgrown version. So he's out sorting all the cows and everything out. We have 3 of our girls left to have their babies. So he's away to check to see if they're alright and make sure everybody has food and some bedding and all the rest of it. Just out of interest, if you're wanting to follow along or have a go at this yourself, the colours that I'm using, I've got light cadmium yellow. I've also got light green here. And the last pencil I've got is grass green. Now I may add to that as I go along, just once I see the picture developing. But if I do, I'll give you a shout and let you know for sure. So we'll see how it goes. I'm not really following my references. I did look at references just to pick out some basic colours, but I'm not actually following along. I'd rather kind of do it myself and, you know, just go on a whim, as it were. So also in the cave, Papa Jem is here. He is in the vicinity. He's actually hurt his back. He's not doing too good, bless him. So he is currently away for a lie down to stretch his back out. He does have back problems. Generally copes quite well with it, but every now and then it just goes out and knackers him. So he's quite glad that he's at the cave for a holiday. Just rest and recuperation. So yeah, it's very, very quiet here today. It's actually very nice. I'm enjoying it immensely. So I'm not really doing anything spectacular here. I'm just putting down some layers of these pencils. I love Tim Jeff's work. It's absolutely amazing. He's such a talented artist. I really like his books. So my plan is to have a sort of gradient here and have this sort of paler yellow colour on this outside edge, but it's not really showing up there, so I'm going to go back in with that yellow and do that. There we go. Yeah, that looks better already. I did want this to be nice and vibrant and colourful. That's kind of what I've got in my head, so that's what I'm aiming for. But we want nice smooth gradients, don't we? Just colour along really, really gently along this outside edge here. Yeah, so I've been having really, really good fun reading through all of your comments that you left on the Cave's birthday video, and I want to thank you all so much for your suggestions. There really are some great suggestions, and I am going to utilise some of those in future videos. I can't use all of the ideas because I wouldn't have any time or space left to put out any other videos, so please don't be disappointed if you don't see your suggestion used in a video. It's not necessarily because I think it's a bad suggestion, because there were none of those. It's just the fact that I put out 2 videos a week, and obviously I already have my own agenda, but I would like to utilise some of the ideas at least that I've seen. So, you know, don't be offended if I don't use your idea. Don't take it personally. But yeah, that was really good fun sitting reading through everything. Some of you have got some interesting ideas, and I'm just wondering if I should maybe make this quite dark up here at the top. Yeah, so I think I'll put a little bit of shadow in under here just using a darker green. I may well darken that down some more with a different pencil, but for now I'll just pop that in there and work down this side. So yeah, I kind of thought one of the things I wanted to chat about was the situation that I've got with the Bennett Klein picture that I'm colouring. It's one that I've been looking forward to colouring for a long time, and I knew it was the first one that I was going to colour in the book, and I just started it and I can't decide on colours. The page is not speaking to me. It's not telling me what colour it wants to be or needs to be, and that's a problem. So what I decided to do was just close the book and go into something else. And I am not really a person that has lots of unfinished pictures. I am very much a sort of completionist, and I never have too many works in progress on the go at the same time, because I feel like I kind of lose the thread with them. And it's very easy to sort of lose your motivation to colour them. So normally, in the grand scheme of things, I've normally got something on the go for the channel, which is the nameplate page just now in Hannah Carlson's jewellery box. I'm sure some of you have been following along with that. I'll leave some links in the description and the end card if you want to go and check the first video in the series for that. And I've always got the current page that I'm working on in Johanna Basford's Enchanted Forest. That's my front to back project, and I usually have one other, so my one other has been Bennett Klein. And I suppose I put a kind of pressure on myself to, I don't know, I don't really know how to explain this. I kind of put a pressure on myself to make sure things are finished and not have too many works in progress on the go. And sometimes when you're not feeling it with a page for whatever reason, it can be really demotivating. But also as well, if you force yourself in to try and colour the page, it doesn't come out the way you want it and you're brutally dissatisfied with it. So in those situations, and it's exactly the same with drawing as well, it's better to walk away and go and put your, cast your eyes on something else, and it'll generally work out better for you. And that's just purely my opinion and speaking from, a little bit of experience. I'm just looking at this and I'm deciding that I do want a darker green pencil, so I'm just I'm consulting my little swatch book here. So this is grass green, so I might go down to permanent green. The leaf green I feel is really too close to the grass green, so I think I might go down to permanent green just to get a little bit of depth and shadow in under his cute little chin here, and this part down here as well. So we'll see if I can dig this pencil out. There seems to be a lot of pressure, or it's not outside pressure, but I've noticed it in the art community, you know, on social media and in the colouring community, and people seem to put pressure on themselves to, you know, get things right first time, or to finish a picture or a set of pictures. Now it's fun and it's good to set yourself goals, there's no doubt about it. That's part of the, you know, part of the whole hobby, the whole idea of it. But I think sometimes we take it to extremes and we don't really think about the bigger picture, and we lose sight of why we have these hobbies in the first place, and it's because they're enjoyable and they're relaxing and it's things that we like to do. And it's healthy to put a little bit of pressure on yourself, but there comes a point where you have to take a step back and you know, take it for what it is. It's a hobby, and it's not something that comes easy to someone like me who is very goal driven and quite a motivated person, and I put pressure on myself to be productive. That, you know, being productive is what drives me every day of my life, and to, you know, to make the decision to physically walk away from something goes against every sort of fibre of my being. So it's something that's come over time. And I did open up, before I set up the camera and everything to get going for today's video, I did sit and look at that Bennett Klein picture, and it's still not speaking to me. I just looked at it and thought, I don't like you. So I think I've made the right decision, and I'm instantly having a gajillion times more fun doing this. So I've got it up under his chin here, so I'm going to take the permanent green for that, and I'm just going to fill this in under here. I'll just darken that down under his little chinny chin chin. He is so cute. Seahorses are lovely little things. I think they're quite intriguing little creatures. One of the things that I really like about them, you know, my degree is in animal science, animal bioscience, so I do take an interest in all species of animals. And one of the things I really like about seahorses is that it is the male members of the species that carry their offspring, which I just find fascinating because it's so uncommon in the, you know, the animal world generally. I just think they're fascinating little things, and they are still very much prehistoric creatures. You know, they have evolved as all species do, but they are, you know, they carry a lot of traits and things of more prehistoric species of creatures, and I just think there's something really nice about that. And the fact that they have such an unorthodox swimming method, and yet they seem to be doing okay. I know they're not endangered, or some species aren't endangered, but there's not a lot of them about, and you can understand why. But if you are not from a part of the world where seahorses are in the general populace, they're really tiny. Most of them are very, very, very small, and I think that just makes them even dinkier and cuter. Okay, that looks pretty good. So in addition to that part, the other section that I'm going to make these green colours is right down the bottom, and it's this teeny weeny wee little bit inside his tail. So I think that's going to be quite dark, so I'm going to skip the yellow, and I'm just going to go in with the lightest green as the base colour this time. Something that I've learned about myself over the years is to be a bit kinder to myself and not to put so much pressure on myself, particularly when it's things that have no direct bearing on, you know, on surviving and living my life. And I think that's been quite a fundamental part of learning about myself. I've changed my mind. I'm going to stick a little bit of yellow in there. I just want to zoom in a little bit so you can see this. But it frightens me how easy it is to lose sight of, you know, something like that when you're really putting pressure on yourself. It's quite scary how easily we can get sucked into things. Okay, so if we move back up here now, we're going to move on to the blues. And the first thing that I want to do is I want to tackle their little fins. So they have these little fins at the side of their head, and basically that's their steering wheel. That's what they use to manoeuvre left and right. And this one on their back is their propeller. This is what moves them through the water. And that is all the fins that they have. They move really slowly. They kind of meander through the water. They don't really swim. So I want to keep these a little bit lighter compared to everything else, because this is all going to be blue. So I'm going to take a fairly light blue, which is the sky blue, and I'm going to start with that. And just see how that looks to begin with. Again, I'll come back to this once I've coloured in the rest of his body. He's so cute. Yeah, so I'm really glad I decided to go with this today. I've had many occasions where I have plodded on with a picture despite not liking what I'm doing or not being entirely sure of the direction that I want to take it in. And 9 times out of 10, not every time, but 9 times out of 10, I have ended up hating the result for, you know, for a multitude of reasons. So using my better judgment now, just leave it alone. Don't be frightened. You can go back to it. It's not going to go anywhere. You know, if you started a piece and you're not sure about it or you just don't like it, it's not going to run away. It's still going to be there the next time you open the book. So just chill out and take a break from it and go back to it later. Get a little layer of this blue down. That's quite nice. It's very subtle, but the nice thing about this is because the backgrounds in all of Tim's pictures are black, and if you're using vibrant colours or pastel colours, they stand out so well. I really like black backgrounds. As some of you know, I've got a kind of fixation with black paper anyway, so I think that's probably one of the reasons that I was attracted to this book in general. Okay, so I'm going to, when I'm colouring the main part of his body, I'm going to try and work in sections, because you can see there are all these sort of ridges down him. So I'm going to use that to kind of partition off what I'm doing, but I'm going to start up at his face. And again, this section round his eyes, so that it doesn't blend in with the rest of his body, I'm going to keep this pale like his fins. So I'm going to start there and just put a little bit of this sky blue down here. I feel a sneeze coming on. There it is. Excuse me. Have a little sharpen as well. My Teal sharpener's going strong. Someone had put a comment, I can't remember what group it was in. I'm trying to remember. I'm terrible at remembering things like that. But someone had put a comment in that they'd read somewhere that the pink ones of these, which in the UK are much cheaper than all the rest of them, they said that apparently they found out that the pink ones were a dud batch, which I thought was quite interesting, because out of the 3 that I've had a green one, a pink one and that black one, and it was the pink one that I ended up junking. I put it in the bin. So I don't know if there's any truth in that at all, but I just found that rather strange that I came across that comment randomly. I wasn't out looking for anyone talking about the sharpeners, but that was the comment that was made, and I thought, oh, there might be some truth in that. But the black one's going fine, so that's good. And just colour these little bits around here. So the other project that I've got on the go just now, aside from some colouring pages, is I have, right, this colour, I keep interrupting myself here, this is Helio Blue Reddish. The other project that I've got on the go just now is my 3D pen sculpture. I have got some pictures on Instagram of progress. If you want to check that out, you can see the social media links at the end of the video. And I just decided, I don't know what possessed me, because bearing in mind that I have done one 3D model up to now, which was a little palm tree, when I was trying out the 3D pen for the first time. I just decided that I wanted to do something big and colossal, so I'm just doing it in sections, but I've nearly finished covering the framework now. Putting it's a Cheshire Cat. It's the Disney version of the Cheshire Cat from Alice in Wonderland. That's the sculpture. So I've nearly finished covering the framework with his stripes, so I'm using a lot of purple filament and I'm using a lot of pink filament, and then I'm going to get onto some details. So that's actually going really well. It's going better than I expected, because I didn't use any templates or anything. I just did it by eye, and I seem to have the proportions and everything right, and he is looking very Cheshire Catty, so that's always a bonus. Okay, the next colour I've got here is light phthalo blue. I hate saying that word, phthalo. And I'm just going to flick out some lines around his little eye here. I don't know how well you'll be able to see that on the camera, but they're there. And fill in this little bit around his eye as well. Oh, there we go, it looks handsome. Yeah, that's occupying quite a lot of my time just now. It's the mess that comes with it though. It's so easy, and I said it a lot. The thing I like best is just having a sketchbook and a graphite pencil, because you can create so many beautiful things, and it's the minimum of fuss, and you can pretty much do it anywhere. When you're doing a 3D pen sculpture, that is absolutely not the case. It takes quite a bit of setting up. You need quite a lot of room to do it, and the mess that you create in the process is colossal. So you have to be sort of prepared to be sitting down for a couple of hours, unless you have space to leave everything lying out, which I don't. So that's you know, that's something that I take into consideration when I've got a bit of time to do arty things. It's like, okay, do I actually have time to do this, or you know, would it be better doing some colouring or whatever? So we're getting there slowly, but I do think it's going to be another couple of weeks before it's finished. Right, I'm going down to a darker blue now, and this is phthalo blue, as opposed to the light phthalo blue, which is the one I've just been using. And I'm just following Tim's lines here. As I've said with grayscale colouring before, the artist has given you indicators of where the darker colours should go to make it nice and easy for you. So I'm going to block some of that in. And I'm just following his pen lines, or his pencil lines. Darken this in down here as well. I think this is one of the reasons why I find grayscale colouring so relaxing, because you have all these guides and, you know, support lines there for you. It just makes it really enjoyable because you don't have to put much thought into it. I'm not really into cutesy stuff, but this guy is super cute. It's making me smile. I'm going to take the phthalo blue again, and in between these sort of parts around his eye, I'm just going to darken in between there. I would imagine that would be darker. Try not to use too heavy a hand though. Go back to my sky blue and I'll just blend that out. Kind of using this as a blender pencil type idea. Now for underneath, I'm going to start with the ordinary phthalo, because this is an underneath part therefore. That's such a vibrant blue, I love this colour. I'll zoom out a tiny little bit, I think I'm just a little bit too close there. Colour in round here. Like this. That looks pretty good. That looks nice. So in other news, in farm news, we are down to three cows left to calve. Did I tell you that already? I might have told you that already. We have 3 cows left to calve, and we are less than 2 weeks away from our start date for lambing. And once lambing starts, it is just chaos. So I'm not really looking forward to it. It's looming over us now, and I get very tired, very easily confused. Okay, I'm just going to put some white over the tips of these little parts here, and it's generally just a bit of a hard slog. So I'm taking this coming weekend to get in front with some videos so that they are all scheduled and sitting for you guys, so that if I get caught up, I won't have to rush any videos and you get good high quality videos, because that's what we want. Okay, we'll zoom out, take a look. Yeah, I think this blue is going to look quite good next to this green and yellow. So let's move on to his head. I'm going to move this a little bit, it's a wee bit far forward. Sorry, I don't want many of you feeling seasick. I won't move it again now, I promise. So yeah, I've actually got a schedule set out. You know, I always have ideas in my head when it comes to what videos I'm going to film. I usually have a rough schedule of what videos are going where, and even if I haven't filmed them, I have that written down so that I know what I'm doing next, sort of idea. And I want to change the order of play a little bit now to try and incorporate one or two of your suggestions that you guys have been giving me, because I really like some of your ideas. And there's going to be quite a few interesting videos coming up this month. One of them is the promised tutorial on how to do a colouring in with what looks like an engraving, you know, a sort of wood grain type texture. So I am working on that at the moment, so that's a definite, and it's something that might be quite useful for some of you guys if you just want to do something a little bit different with one of your colouring pages. So that is in the works, you can look forward to that. The other thing, and it's one of the suggestions that came from you guys, and it was from Yvonne, and Yvonne had asked if I would do a little drawing tutorial but for colourists, and what she wanted to see was me drawing some insects and butterflies and things so that you can use them to put them in backgrounds for your colouring pictures, you know, if you've got a little bit of space to fill, that kind of thing. So I thought it might be really nice to do a video for colourists on how to draw basic small objects that you can pop into your pictures, not just insects but other things as well. I think that's an excellent suggestion because it's something that's quite straightforward, and it's something that you can practice on scrap paper. And obviously I'm not going to make them overly complicated, you know, you're not talking about a masterpiece, it's just something to go in a background, but it might be something that's nice for you and will let you put your own twist on some of your colouring pages. So I'd really like to do some work on that. That is one of the videos though that is what I would call a harder video, and when I say a harder video I don't mean the difficulty level of executing what it is. It's the planning and the preparation that goes around it. I have to do you know, a bit more work on my end and decide, you know, what I'm going to do and how I'm going to go about explaining it and things. So compared to say a colour and chat video like this is really straightforward because I literally just set my desk up the way I do when I'm on my own. The only difference is that I film it. So you know, for me to edit one of these videos, there's very little editing involved because I don't have to do voiceovers. I don't have to cut out, you know, parts of the video that are boring or speed bits up or whatever. So, you know, doing a video like this, I can easily put this together and have it uploaded in a couple of hours. Whereas with more tutorial style videos, it takes a lot more preparation, a lot more effort. So I just kind of do it a bit at a time. I've completely lost the thread of the conversation there. Mr. Jem came in and interrupted me. So sorry about that. I know I was talking about preparing for videos. Yes, so yeah, just because some of the videos that I want to do for April are a little bit more, require a bit more preparation, I want to start working on that in the next few days so that you guys aren't left without a video. Or worse, you get videos and they're poor quality videos because we don't want any of them. I have back to the Teal Blue reddish here. Just when I was paused and, you know, sort of taking a look there, I'm not happy with the level of the dark colours underneath here. I want that to stand out more, so I'm just going to go back in here and pop a little bit of this in here. Make it stand out a little bit better. It's too pale. Yeah, a bit happier with that. I think I'm going to pop a little bit of this in along here as well, but I'm going to do it really lightly. I don't want any, you know, I don't want it to stand out that much. And then I'm going to go back to the light phthalo and just sort of pull that out a little bit, blend it out a little bit. Up over the side of his nose, and it's just to help give that illusion of the roundness of his snout, you know, the curve on his snout. And then on this top part, go back with the sky blue, which is the sort of lightest shade of blue I'm using. And I'm going to go over that with my white pencil if I can find it. It's hiding from me. It's hiding. There, it's there. Let me pop that into. So yes, we're currently in a flurry of videos, light Teal Blue again, and Papa Jem and I are going to film our 3D pen video tomorrow. That is tomorrow's task. So that's going to be fun. I'm not going to give away too many details, but it's going to be funny. So you can be assured that you will be duly entertained from that video. So some of this shading here is really nice because it gives us a really good indicator of where the sort of contours of little guy's face. We're gonna have to give him a name. You know, this happens to me all the time. We're gonna have to give this little chap a name. I wonder what we should call him. Winston. Winston, yeah, we'll go Winston. Sounds good to me. You look like a Winston. Yeah, so we need to, again, I'll need to clear the decks to do that video so that we've got enough space, because I have my 3D pen set up for myself, you know, what suits me. And being left-handed, my Papa Gem is not left-handed, he is right-handed, so we're going to have to switcheroo things about a little bit. So I think it's going to take a bit of work, but it'll be worth it. It'll be good fun. There we go, that looks pretty good. Pop that in there. Back to my sky blue now. The paper in these books is really, really good, and it takes polychromos pencils really well, but I still like to use really light layers on it so that I can put down as many layers as I want. That's really, you know, for me that's the way I like to colour. And when I'm putting these layers down, you know, I'm switching about between pencils quite a lot here. I am literally just letting the pencil go over the paper itself. I'm not really putting any pressure on them. And you can tell by how far up the pencil I'm holding it. If I'm putting pressure, I tend to be much closer to the tip of the pencil. But I'm kind of like, you know, I'm back a little bit from that. And it's just because I don't need to put any pressure on anything. Just let the pencil and the tooth of the paper do the work. I want this to be a bit more vibrant, so the areas that I've just gone in with the sky blue, excuse me, the sky blue is a much more muted shade of blue, although it's pale, and I want it to be a bit more vibrant, so I'm going over with my light phthalo. Get some of this in here. We do want him to stand out. We'll make him handsome. Hey, handsome man. One of the other requests that I had as well, and I apologise because I can't remember who made the suggestion. That's terrible. Once again, memory like a sieve for things like that. One of the suggestions was to colour a picture in budget pencils, and I've been thinking about this quite a lot, and it's something that I don't know. I learned to colour, when I started colouring, I had a set of Crayola pencils, so you don't get much more budget than Crayola pencils. They require a lot of work. They are like the polar opposite to Prismacolor pencils. They are really, really hard, and you don't get a lot of pigment lay down from them because they are a budget pencil. Just because that is the case does not mean that you cannot get good results from those pencils. You have to learn to work your pencils and get to know your pencils. And I have seen it not from any of you guys and not from the person that suggested the video. I just want to make that clear. But I have seen people complaining about people like me who put out YouTube videos of colouring and one thing or another, and we always use expensive pencils. And they start blating on about how they're never going to get the same results because they can only afford cheap pencils. I have never heard so much rubbish in my entire life. If you get to know your pencils properly, it doesn't matter how much money they cost, you will learn to work them and you will learn to get the best results out of those pencils. And so the difference between using artist grade pencils and budget pencils is that you have to work harder with the budget pencils, but you can still achieve good results with them. So in terms of doing a video with budget pencils, in the colouring community, most of you will be aware that the sort of comparison videos for budget pencils are, you know, the entire internet is flooded with reviews like that. If it's something that you want me to do, I will happily do it. But what I did what I did think about was digging out the old Crayolas and doing an entire picture as a speed colour with Crayola pencils to show you the kind of results that you can get even if you have budget pencils. So again, it's one of those videos that I would like to do, but I need to give it some thought about how I'm going to execute it and what angle to take with the video. Most people don't like speed colours, and you guys have told me that you don't like speed colours. You like to be shown methodically what's happening so that you can either replicate the same result or you can work towards something similar. So if you have any opinions on that, or you want to give me any feedback on a budget pencil type video, please feel free to do so, because it's something that I would very much value your input on. As I say, I learned to colour with Crayola pencils and I got some very, very nice results with them, but it's because I learned to use them and I learned to work them. And that is what you have to do with any type of pencil. It just requires a bit more effort when you have budget pencils, especially if you're looking for really, really rich colours. So let that be a lesson to y'all. It sounded so condescending, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it like that. But it's something that annoys me when people go on about, oh, you know, this is so unfair because I can't afford this. Money, a poor workman blames his tools. That's the phrase that comes to mind. If you put in the effort and the time and you learn the techniques. I'm just thinking this must be dark because it's underneath. Okay, let's go the red, helio blue reddish, blah blah blah. Put that in there. Yeah, it's better. Yeah, if you spend the time you can get just as good results. And again, sometimes it's quality over quantity, and that's very much the case for me. I would rather have 2 or 3 sets of high quality pencils that I use all the time, and you guys know I use my Prismacolors, my Polychromos all the time, and that's the 2 main sets of pencils that I use. I don't use the Crayolas very often, but I would rather have that and maybe only 2 or 3 colouring books than have a bunch of budget stuff, because it's nice to have nice things. That's the truth. Okay, so down in here, this looks really dark in here, so I'm just going to go in with the helio blue again, and I'm going to try and sort of blend that in with the green in this tiny little space here. With all the different art projects and things that I have on the go, it really doesn't make sense for me to have a plethora of pencils, you know, different types of coloured pencils, different sets, because in reality I'm never going to have time to use them all. So that's kind of the way I've, you know, the sort of attitude I take towards it. Okay, I'm pretty happy here. I think I want to make this even darker still, this part. The next colour down that I've got though is, it says a really dark indigo blue. And it's, I think on this paper it's going to look more black, but because I've put blue down already, it may not look so black. Yeah, that's going down okay. It's a really sort of inky blue colour. I really want to define this contour, and then what I'll do is I'll blend it out with a slightly lighter colour. So I'm going to go back to the phthalo and I'm just going to blend it out a little bit so it's not as obvious that I've just slapped it down in the middle of the page. Again, just really light layers, little circles. A wee bit of pressure on it obviously because I'm trying to blend it out. Trying to make it look as organic and natural as possible, because we really don't want any harsh lines. The harsh lines are already there, which is the pattern on this little dude. That looks not too bad. Again, I keep coming back to around this eye area and it's not dark enough, and the little gaps in between is kind of like, I don't know what they are, these little fringy bits. I'm not happy with the colour of blue under there. I'll just keep adding in. That's one of those things I keep looking at it and I'll keep going back to it, and it's a really good idea to do that with your drawings and your colourings, because it's like fine tuning. You know, you notice things every time you look at it, and it lets you sort of go in and tweak things and just mess about with it a bit more. His eye seems to be standing out a lot better. If I just zoom out a little bit, it's making this circular part of his eye pop out a little bit more, and that's what I was trying to achieve, so that's pretty good. Right, so I'm going to move on down to this back part now and try and work on his body a little bit, I think. I don't know whether to do the outside first. Yeah, I think I'm going to do this dark section first. So to start with, I'm going to start with the phthalo blue, the normal common or garden phthalo blue. And just using, again, really, really light pressure. Look how high up the pencil I am. That is my way of dealing with that. I'm just going to go over the areas that Tim's shaded in this sort of much darker hatching. And get the base of this down first, and then we'll take it from there. We'll take it from there. Yeah, I did sit down not that long ago and I did a sort of review of all my colouring supplies and my art supplies, and I just really looked at what I've been using a lot of lately and what I've not really used at all, and things that I want to use and haven't used in a while. And I think I've kind of narrowed it down now, and I think I'm pretty happy with my supplies and, you know, the things that I've got. I'll always try new things though, but whether or not they stick and become a main part of my arty repertoire is a different matter entirely, because there are a few things that I've tried and I've given them away and I've thought no. I have come to the conclusion though, somebody asked me, you know, randomly, not like randomly in the street or anything, but not an arty conversation or a YouTube conversation, but someone asked me what my least favourite medium was to work in. And I gave it some thought, and I was like, do you know, I've never actually thought about it. I know what I like. I'm not so sure what I don't like. And I have come to the conclusion, and it's purely based on inconvenience rather than anything else, but I absolutely hate working with soft pastel. I hate it. It's really messy, and I can get similar results with other mediums without the mess and the... What we would call in Scotland, we have a word that we use, and it's to footer about. And if you footer about with something, you kind of you fiddle with it, and it's, you know, it's fiddly and intricate, and you're kind of messing about with it. And I find that chalk pastels are footery, and I don't like it. I don't like the dust, and I always invariably end up putting a chalky fingerprint somewhere where it's not supposed to go, and then I've got to erase it, and it's just... I just really don't like it. I really don't like it. I like the texture, because again, I am a person who likes texture, and I do like the texture of pastel. And I think that's maybe why I have favoured pastel pencils, because it seems to be, you know, somewhere in the middle between using the chalk pastels and using a pencil, and I'm very comfortable using pencil. So I think that chalk pastels are something that I don't see myself using an awful lot of moving forward. So I've just I've got a little set, and they're little mini sticks. They're only about this length, and they come in a sort of range of colours, and I don't think I will be expanding that anytime soon, because I do use them on an odd occasion, but it's really not my thing at all. I've got a lovely set of Faber-Castell pastel pencils, which were a wedding gift, and I really like them. They're good fun. They're lovely. So yeah, I thought that was actually quite a good question. It really it made me sort of assess everything that I have, and you know, what I am using and what I'm not using. But yeah, I've decided I don't like chalk pastels. I'm waiting on some more pan pastels coming. I used some birthday money to buy myself a couple more. I do have two. I've got a sort of baby pink and a baby blue that my darling mother got me for my Christmas. And I'd really like to use them a bit more, and I'm desperate to use them, but I just, you know, very limited colour schemes. Okay, I'm going to go to the light phthalo blue now, and I'm just going to blend out those two darker colours that I've put down. So... And I would like to do some sort of video on them as well, but I just don't have enough of them, and they are super duper expensive. They are so expensive. So I'm going to wait and see and test out the ones that come next, and I might think about making a video after that. I may not. But I'm looking forward to them, because they are amazing, and they're not nearly as messy as normal chalk pastels or soft pastels, whatever you want to call them. So we'll see how that goes as well. Just want to get this lighter blue around the outside. And this isn't a light source thing, this is just, I've decided that he's darker in at this crease than he is at the back. I don't know why I feel the need to explain that to you all, but that's what's happening. Right, that's looking pretty good now. So I'm going to take my white pencil now and I'm just going to blend along this edge, and I'm going to do that all the way around. Just this way. Jock's just let out a massive sigh. He's lying on the sofa bed and he's just chilling out. He's just hanging out with me today. The girls are in their beds in the kitchen, but Jock wanted to stay with me. But he's just laid down and sort of got himself comfortable. He's going, such a hard life being a dog. He has had a busy week though. We in preparation for lambing, there's a few things, there's a few healthcare things that the ewes need before they give birth, and you have to do it before they are too heavily pregnant so that you don't stress them out. So there's been quite a bit of injecting and things going on, and obviously that requires a sheepdog. So Jock has been a busy boy this week. So when he's been in the cave, he's just doing a lot of sleeping. He's just catching up on his, recharging his batteries. This is the sky blue again. Just popping a little bit on these little sort of spiny things. Then use my white pencil and I'll just blend that out as well. So we have all the girls are now when I say the girls, I'm not talking about the cows now, I'm talking about the sheep, I'm talking about the ewes. All the girls are now ready to give birth, and they are, what we do is we separate them into groups. So we have, when they are pregnant, we have them scanned, like an ultrasound type scan, to find out whether they are carrying a single offspring or whether they are pregnant with multiples. And then what we do is we put a little mark on them somewhere. It's just like it's called stock marker, and it's like a graffiti spray can, and you get them in different colours. And what we do is when they have been scanned, we squish a dot on the back of either their heads or their backs in different colours, so we know that the ones that have got blue dots are having singles, and the ones that have maybe got three babies, so they've got triplets, they'll get like, a purple dot or something. And then what we do is we split them up and put them in different fields so that we know all the animals in a single field are all supposed to have X amount of lambs. And it means when they're actually giving birth, you know whether to expect another one or whether they are finished. That sounds all well and good, but it doesn't always go according to plan, because you never get 100% accuracy with it. And there's quite often we've been in amongst the singles and all of a sudden another lamb pops out and you're like, oh, you weren't supposed to be here. But for the most part, it makes managing them and looking after them a lot easier. So they have now been placed in their respective fields. So they are in their maternity fields where they will give birth. So we're kind of organised now. We're all good. We're good to go. So we just have to sit and wait now and see what happens. Generally though, and it tends to happen most years, you will have maybe one or two that give birth early, and you know that they're early, and you have to be very vigilant with those to make sure that you can get to the lambs in time and look after them so that they survive. Lambs are not very good at staying alive. Sheep in general aren't very good at staying alive. They like to lean towards dying as quickly as possible. They're very good at it, and it's one of the reasons I hate working with sheep. So, for the week or so before we start lambing, we keep an eye out and we start watching them early, because the ones that are born early, the chances of them surviving are not as good as the ones that are full term. So that sort of preemie watch will start in the next week or so. We just keep an eye on them, because usually if they come early, it's because there's something wrong with the ewe or there's something wrong with the lamb. So it's really important that we're vigilant with that. So that's kind of the next step in the process. But now that we've got, as I say, now that we've got them split up into all their fields where they're supposed to be, that makes that job a lot easier, and it's a lot more efficient to manage it. But fingers crossed we don't get many, or fingers crossed we get none. That would be ideal, but you usually get one or two, especially when you're talking the numbers of ewes that we've got, because when we're talking about hundreds of ewes here, it's not like 50 or 60, it's hundreds. So it's kind of important to do that too. but my life will be taken over. I'm looking for my phthalo, oh there it's there. I thought I'd lost my phthalo blue. Yeah, so this is the normal phthalo blue, and again I'm just following these stripes that Tim's shaded in here. So naturally I want this to be darker than the section next to it. That makes sense, of course it makes sense. Get some of this down too. I will blend all this out. I'm not really, you know, this looks a little bit haphazard, but I'm going to put layers of other colours over this and then blend it out, so I'm not really too fussy about making this neat at this particular juncture. I'm going to go all the way down his tail, all the way to the bottom. Whee! Whee! I think my tea's cold now as well. I don't think there's still some in the bottom. Oh no, we're all right. That's the only problem about drinking a pint mug of tea. If you're talking or doing something else like this, quite often the last little bit goes cold before you get to it, but that's okay. It's not like we have a tea shortage. I can always make myself more if I feel as if I've missed out, but generally when you drink a pint of tea you don't feel like you've missed out. That's funny. Right, I'm going to go back to the sky blue for this lighter stripe again. Again, I'll probably darken up here around this fin part, but I'll do that afterwards. I just want to get most of the base colours down first. I'm going to try and leave it a wee bit paler in the middle. You know, I'm going to try and work either side. Just a tiny little sliver. Again, I'll probably go over that with the white pencil. I'll see how it looks and I'll decide from there. Oh, he's so cute. Move this up again so you can see what I'm doing. So it will be interesting to see. I haven't looked at the scanning numbers for the sheep, so I don't know how many of each we are expecting. We generally don't, just because of the breeding line that we've used, we don't get a lot of triplets, thankfully. So we'll see if we get some triplets. I may end up with an orphan lamb friend. The problem with triplets is, for those of you that don't know, sheep are not genetically built to have 3 offspring because they only have 2 teats. Cows have 4 teats, but sheep only have 2, and that's the same with goats and things as well. So if you have 3 offspring, you're going to have one that's going to starve or not get very much milk. So when we have ones with triplets, we will foster one of the triplets onto a ewe that has had a single lamb, and just to balance things out a little bit. So that's kind of the way we get around that. So having triplets is all very fair and well in terms of, you know, running a business, so to speak, and the financial implications, but the animals aren't built to cope with it, so you actually don't want a lot of triplets really. When everything's going well. Jock is now dreaming and he's squeaking. I don't know if you can hear him over there. He stopped. Damn it. Every time I go quiet he stops. He's having a little squeak to himself. Okay, I've got a bit of base colour down. I'm going to build up these colours now because they do look really washed out compared to his head, but that was why I wanted to do the head first, to give myself a sort of reference point for the, you know, how vibrant this was going to be. I've just got this dark stripe to do down here first. So I'm going to take the phthalo blue and get that down, and then we can start blending it all in together. The next project that I'm starting in the cave is my graphite drawing of Phoenix. So some of you have heard about Phoenix. I've talked about her before. She is a Great Dane puppy who is 2 months older than Pip. So she'll be nearly 9 months now. Phoenix will, not Pip. And I am going to do a pencil drawing of her. So, and that's my next sort of big project that I'm starting, and it'll take me a couple of weeks of just doing maybe, you know, a few hours at a time, and I want to get going on that pretty soon. So, because I don't have a graphite drawing on the go at all just now, and I'm itching. Much as I'm enjoying using all these other mediums and 3D pens and one thing and another, I need some graphite in my life, so I'm going to start that in the next little while. and get her on the go. So I kind of task myself when it's a detailed pencil drawing like that. I usually aim for about a month. I try and do one a month, you know, in amongst everything else. If I've not got anything else on, I could probably do it in a fortnight, but generally one a month. And so I haven't started one in March at all. I don't really know what to do up in here. I don't want this to be too dark, but put some of that in there and go over the top of this. This part in here as well. It's too much white. I'm not happy with how pale it is. So I'm going to start to build up the layers of the brighter colours now and try and get it looking more in line with the colours on his head. And his head, just blend that in there as well, that's good. Okay, that looks alright. Getting there now. Yeah, that part there, when you see it next to the rest of it, this looks much more like what's going on up here. So that's the kind of what we're aiming for all over now. So I'll do this dark section first. So the lady that owns Phoenix, she knows that I'm going to draw a picture of her, because I asked her permission to take the photograph and told her what it was for. But what she doesn't know is that I'm going to give her the drawing. So I really hope that I can do a good job and that I capture her likeness, because I just think that would be a nice surprise for Phoenix's owner. I think she might like that, especially now, you know, while she's still a puppy, because she's not going to be a puppy for much longer. I don't look at her as a puppy anyway, because she's absolutely gigantic. I would not like the food bill for feeding that dog. I really wouldn't. She's something ridiculous, like 5 times the weight of Jock, who is our full-grown sheepdog, and he takes quite a lot of feeding because he's working. You know, he has a lot of calorific intake. And I'm like, this dog's a puppy, your dog is a puppy, and she's 5 or 6 times the weight of Jock. You're not bankrupt trying to feed this dog, and how much food do you have to give her when she gets fully grown? That's like, oh, I wouldn't fancy the vet bills either. I'm like, wow, you brave lady having this Great Dane. But she is such a beautiful dog. I love her. I absolutely love her. And she always plods over to come and see me when we go into the vets, because she knows I'm going to stroke her and talk to her and tell her she's lovely. But yeah, I don't fancy that at all. Really don't. Her owner has built, they have one of these sort of crossover SUVs. Obviously you would need the boot space to fit a dog like that, and if you wanted to take it anywhere. And they have built a ramp that goes up from the ground into the back of the car so that she can walk up and get in the car. Now the reason that this has happened is from a very, very small, you know, puppy age, they taught her not to jump up, because obviously as she gets older, the size of her and the weight of her, she'll knock people over. So Phoenix knows that she's not allowed to jump up on people, and the upshot of that is she won't jump up anywhere, so she won't jump up into the back of the car. So they had to make her a ramp so that she can walk up, and she loves it, she uses it. It's hilarious to watch, it's really funny. And people, you can see people like squinting at her like, what are they doing with that dog? Why is it walking up like, it's like a wheelchair ramp. It's absolutely hilarious. It's really funny. So yeah, that's Phoenix. Because for a while, when she was smaller, the lady and her husband were lifting her into the back of the car, but they knew they had to find a solution before she got too big, obviously, because they can't pick her up now. She's too heavy to pick up. But I just, like, you don't think of all these sort of logistical things, you know. It's like, how are we going to do this? I'll just stick with having collies, I think. It's easier. It's a lot easier. And then, to be fair, I could lift Jock up. You know, I wouldn't like to carry him any sort of distance, which I have done with another collie. Your arms get heavy very quickly. but at least I know I have the option to do that. If something happens, I could just lift him, but you've got absolutely no chance with that dog. Okay, down here at the bottom, I'm going to do a little bit of work on his tail, and we're nearly there after that. I'm just going to let this video run for how long it takes. I know I normally keep the colouring chats about an hour, but I'd really like to finish this, and I'm sure you guys won't mind, especially for those of you who just have me on in the background droning away. So I'm going to go back with the Teal Blue and use that as the base colour on this other side, and we'll go from there. I don't have much in the way of other plans today. I have finished my work and everything, and I've done some housework and stuff as well. So I may just continue to colour actually for a little while. I can't take the dogs out just now either because it's fairly coming down out there. So we'll just have to have a quiet time in the house. So I'm back with the Teal Blue now. And again, I'm just following, there's some hatching here that Mr. Jeffs has put in, so I'm just going to kind of squish my way around that and use that as my guide. See, this is why I love grayscale drawings, I really do. I think they're amazing. You get really good results from them if you pay attention. You know, observe. Work with what the artist's done. He's helping you out, it's teamwork. I draw, you colour. Okay, and back with the phthalo now. So I'm just kind of blending out what I've done there. Just get these layers down. We like the layers. I'm not sure that that's dark enough, so I'm going to take this indigo and pop some of that in here as well. Just basically just going over roughly where I've put the Teal Blue down. I'm not covering all the Teal Blue up completely, otherwise that would have been a waste of time putting it down. But you guys know what I mean, I'm sure you do. Pretty sure you do. To sharpen again. Oh, I need to empty my Tegal. It's leaking. That's when I know it's getting full. It's when you pull your pencil out and a lot of little shavings come with it. It's time to empty. You can actually feel it though, like if it gets really full, if you try and squeeze it, because there is some sort of degree of movement in the plastic, and you can feel it's packed, it's chock full. You think, okay, I need to empty this. Okay, I'll just do this little tail section. So I'm going to go back to my light phthalo. Bring this up here. Oh, my stomach's rumbling. There you go. That's something I need to do when I finish this. I need to go and get something to eat. I shouldn't really be hungry. I had a really late breakfast. And I've had, apart from the fact I've had a pint of tea, that's beside the point. But I have eaten some grapes and things as well, so I have no idea why my stomach's rumbling. But it's telling me I need to eat something, so I'm going to eat something. I don't know what I'm going to eat, but we do have, it's also Papa Jem's birthday around now. Oh, I've got this bit under here I need to do as well. Right, I think I'll do this bit the same as up here. Do I want to do that? Yeah, let's do that. And that's the wrong pencil, that's not very helpful. Phthalo. So we have a birthday cake for him, and we didn't actually have it on his birthday because he didn't want it, and it's his birthday cake. So the cake is still sitting there, but he said he might want it today, and he said to me, he says, can I have my birthday cake for my breakfast? Like, you do what you want, it's your birthday cake. He decided against it, but I may hold off and have a bit of birthday cake instead. And it is a chocolate cake. I did ask him what type of cake he would want. And he said chocolate, so that is what he got. But it's still sitting there in its packet. if I'd had a little bit more time. Sometimes I do bake birthday cakes. I normally bake birthday cake for Mr. Jem because he likes a sponge cake, and that's, you know, that's really straightforward. It's not a lot of hassle, but I really haven't had time. So I bought one this time. I did see a really amazing cake in the supermarket, and it looks like a cupcake, but it is huge, it is massive, and it's topped with all this really sort of thick looking frosting, and it's got lots of sweets and things sprinkled on the top. It looks amazing, it looks really, really good. And it's quite expensive though for what it is, and I picked it up to look at it, and it weighs an absolute ton. This thing is so heavy, so I don't know whether it's because there's so much on it and round it, or whether it's because it's made of like really stodgy sponge, but that kind of put me off a little bit. I thought I wouldn't like to pay all that money for, you know, this giant cupcake for it to be horrible. So I thought, I'm not going to risk it. But see, I wanted chocolate cake anyway, so that was okay. It looks really cool though, it does look amazing. I don't have a particularly sweet tooth, so I'm not super excited by those things in terms of wanting to eat it, but visually it excites me, you know, because of the colours and the composition and things like that, which I find quite funny. But I'm not that bothered about eating it. If somebody said to me, you can have this and take it home and draw it, I'd be like, oh yeah, that'd be awesome. And then, you know, if they said to me, but you can't eat it, I'd be like, totally fine with that, that'd be okay. Give me a sub any day of the week. I have had a ridiculous hankering for a really good burrito, and I have had this hankering for quite some time. I love a good burrito, and I haven't had a decent one for a long time. There was a takeaway that opened up in one of the towns that's quite near us, and it's kind of like fusion food. It's quite an marketplace as well, and one of the things that they started doing was burritos. So of course I got really excited about this because I was like, yes, I'm gonna get a burrito, and I have never been more disappointed by a burrito in my entire life. I was gutted because I was so looking forward to it, and it was awful. In my personal experience, as far as I am aware, burritos are supposed to be spicy, and I know they come in varying levels of spiciness. And this had no spice in it at all. Nothing. Not a sausage. And I was like, what? I was so confused. Like, really, really confused. I'm like, how can you call this a burrito? This is not a burrito. This is like rice and things stuffed into a wrap. That's not a burrito. I may be wrong. You may get burritos that don't have any spice in them, but as far as I'm aware, they're supposed to be spicy. So I was bitterly disappointed. Needless to say, we've not been back to the fusion takeaway place again since that. I was just like, no. So I still have not had my hankering for a burrito fulfilled. So I may have to go into the city, or one of the cities, and sort that right out. The last time I had a really good burrito was for my hen party. And it's one of those things, if you eat a burrito before you go out drinking, that's a good way to line your stomach. It really, really is. And my best friend and I, who's also my bridesmaid, that's exactly what we did. Before we started partying and drinking, we went and we got burritos. And it was awesome. And that was in Glasgow. My hen party was in Glasgow. And there's a really good burrito place in Glasgow. It's quite close to the train station as well. So for any of my tartan colour cavers, go check out the burrito place near the station. It's super. But I haven't had a good one since, and that was June of last year, so you can tell why I'm having withdrawal symptoms, because I love burritos. Okay, the last thing I'm going to do is a little bit of work back on these fins. If you remember, I just put a little single coat down, and I'm going to use the light Teal Blue, so I'm just going through the sort of gradient of the colour schemes from light to dark, and that was the next lightest pencil after the sky blue. Give it a little sharpen. So you can see down here in this section nearest the body, the lines and the shading is subtle, but it is darker than this outside edge. So again, just the powers of observation. I'm just going to go with that and follow that there. Now I'm pressing quite hard here. I'm not going to be layering this up a lot. But I just want there to be that sort of definition and contrast between the lighter area and the darker area, and I want to acknowledge the fact that it's attached to that part of his body as well. And I'm going to take the phthalo. I'm going to have to invent a code word for this and call it something else, like our process not red and our untrue green, or our false green. I can't remember. We haven't decided on that, Daria. If you're watching this, you need to decide whether you want to call it untrue green or false green. And then Winston's going to be looking pretty good. So my question is then, if this is Winston, if Winston had a lady friend, which I'm sure he does because he's very handsome, I'm sure he'll be attracting a lot of the ladies, what would his lady friend be called? You guys tell me in the comments. There we go. Right, so that's just the light phthalo blue now, and I'm just going to go back with the sky blue and just sort of squish that all in together. As I do, I like to squish things together. Yeah. And we'll do the same with this little one here. I'm just going to use exactly the same pencils and the same method, I think. And then just touch a few bits up, and I think that will do. So let's have the phthalo in here. There. Light phthalo. Going a sort of slightly crescent shaped here. Very loosely though, very, very loose. Keep it loose. Right, now I'm going to take the indigo and the helio blue. So these are my darkest pencils. And I'm just going to go around and define a few shadows now in areas where I think it could do with darkening down. And again, this is just really to bring out contrast in the piece. I'm not actually adding much to it, to be honest. I'm just kind of bulking out what's there. Blend it out a little bit. This needs more colour too. So this is where, by scanning over it once you're nearly finished, you can pick up the areas that just need tweaked or touched up. You know, just add a little bit more to them. So they're around his snout, beak. No, not beak, snout. I don't know. Muzzle. So I'm really happy with this part here. There's another section under here though where I've kind of neglected to do anything with, so I'm going to use some of these darker pencils, and I'm just putting a layer of each down till I get to the desired depth. And then I'll go back over it with the light phthalo just to blend it out a little bit. That's better. So round this fin, I'm more concerned with it round here because that's where Mr. Jeffs has put most of his shading. So I'm just going to pull that out a little bit. I'm actually going past the lines that he's left. I'm exaggerating it a little bit. And that's just because I can. Just because I can. It's not going to make it look bad, so. Speaking of making things bad, I don't know what you guys think about this. I would love to hear your opinions on this. I was on a colouring group on Facebook, and it is one of the 9 bajillion colouring groups that are out there, and it's quite a big group. You know, there's more than 15,000 people in this group. So you're always, you know, things are going to always be a little bit more wayward the bigger the group is, especially from the point of view of trying to, you know, moderate the group. And this lady had posted a picture in the group, as you do, because that's what they're for. And she had said, along with the picture, that she was really unsure and she hadn't really wanted to post her finished colouring page because her friend told her it was really bad. And I can tell you categorically, I am an honest person. There was absolutely nothing wrong with that lady's picture. That's not the issue though. The issue is that her supposed friend, in inverted commas, has told her it looks really bad. What sort of friend does that to someone? And more to the point, and I don't want to sound as if I'm making this woman sound stupid, because that is entirely not my intention. But to make someone feel like they should question whether or not to post a colouring page in a colouring group because someone has said that they think it's bad. That's horrible. That's terrible. Imagine making someone feel that way by saying something to them. So nothing would do. I left a comment. I was like, I have to not let this lie. And I said to her, I says, I don't, I question, this person being your friend, because, a friend really wouldn't do that. And someone else, other people had said similar sort of things. But I just said to her, I was like, don't let anyone's opinion of your work influence whether or not you think you should post it in a colouring group. If you're proud of it and you've worked hard on it and you want to share it, then share it. Don't not share it just because of someone's opinion. Art is subjective. But I just think that person's a really crappy friend for saying something like that to her. And I think it might have been a bit of jealousy, maybe. I don't know, I'm just surmising. But do you not think that's a horrible thing to say to anyone? When someone spent time and effort on something, even if you were thinking it and it really was absolutely god-awful, which, as I reiterate, it was not, you wouldn't say that to your friends. You don't say things like that to your friends. Anyway, that rant over about that. But yeah, I was kind of incensed by that. Alrighty, now let's have a look at Winston and see how he looks. Oh, look at him, he's so handsome. What do you guys think? I would love to hear your opinions, and if you want to tell me it's really bad, that's okay. Let me know in the comments what you think of this, and I hope you've enjoyed our little relaxing chat. I know this is a bit of a longer video, but that's okay because we got Winston all done and dusted. So once again, I hope you've enjoyed yourself. If you have, please take a moment to hit the like button. Maybe share the video with some of your friends, some of your colouring friends online. We always like a nice happy community here in the cave, and the more the merrier. So with that, I shall leave you to it, guys. Please enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Have a relaxing day, and we will see you next Thursday for another video on art stuff. Thanks for coming, guys. See you later.